All right, when you think oil and gas, what pops into your head? Probably those huge household name companies, right? But what if I told you there's a whole other industry behind the scenes doing all the actual heavy lifting? Well, today we're diving into the brand new rulebook that's shining a light on these crucial but often hidden players. And it all kicks off with one simple question.
So, let me ask you, who really drills for all the world's oil and gas? Who's out there building those mind-bogglingly huge offshore rigs or mapping the ocean floor? Now, if you're thinking of the big names you see at the gas station, well, you're only getting half the story. The real hands-on work, that's usually done by a whole different group of companies.
So let's meet them. These are the industry's unsung heroes, the specialized contractors of the energy world. We're talking about the oil and gas services industry. Think of them like this. Their whole business model is getting hired by the big exploration and production, or E&P companies. They're the ones brought in to do the really technical, hands-on work of finding and getting resources out of the ground. And what they do is, well, it's a lot. They're the crews literally drilling the wells, whether it's on land or way out in the deep ocean. They're the ones manufacturing that absolutely colossal equipment, like those giant jackup rigs. They also provide all the support services. Think seismic surveys, well cementing, you name it. Basically, they supply the specialized people and the expertise to get the job done. They are the industry's special ops team, brought in for the toughest missions.
Okay, so as you can probably guess, this is high-stakes stuff. Their work is incredibly complex and carries some major environmental and social risks.
And this quote right here, it hits the nail on the head. It's not just about who can do the job for the lowest price. For these companies, everything comes down to performance and reputation. Things like their safety record, their tech, how they manage projects. That's what actually wins them contracts.
And when we say risks, we mean the whole shebang. You've got environmental stuff like emissions and water management. Then there's the social side, like keeping the workforce safe. And of course, governance, making sure a critical incident doesn't happen. So to really compete, they need a way to track and talk about how they're doing across all these different areas.
And that brings us to the new standard for sustainability. It's basically a global report card for their performance. This is it, the SASB standards. That stands for Sustainability Accounting Standards Board. And what's really huge here is that they are now part of the IFRS Foundation. If that name sounds familiar, it should. It's the organization that sets the rules for financial accounting globally. So yeah, this is a big deal. It's basically saying that sustainability data is now just as important as financial data. So how do these standards work? Well, the structure is actually pretty straightforward and really smart. First, it defines the industry, so everyone is on the same page. Second, it pinpoints the most important risks and opportunities. Third, and this is key, it gives them actual metrics to measure how they're doing. And finally, it provides technical protocols, basically the instruction manual on how to report that data. This means everyone is measuring and reporting the exact same way. No more comparing apples to oranges.
All right, let's get into the nitty-gritty, measuring key impacts. How do you turn these big, abstract ideas into concrete data? Okay, here's another quote that really drives the point home. The standard zeroes in on what is financially material. A company's safety record? It's not just some box-ticking exercise. It's a straight-up business issue. If your record is bad, you're not going to get the contract. Plain and simple.
So to track safety performance, the standard uses some really specific metrics. And one of the biggest ones is something called the Total Recordable Incident Rate, or TIRR. Now, the number used in the TIRI calculation is 200,000. And you might be thinking, that seems random, but it's not. It's actually pretty clever. 200,000 is the number of hours that 100 people would work full-time for a year. So it standardizes the rate. It lets you compare a company with, say, 500 employees to one with 50,000 employees on a level playing field. It puts it all on a human scale. And it gets even more detailed than that. The standard says you can't just lump everyone together. You have to report your safety numbers for your own direct employees and for your contract employees separately. This is so important because contractors often make up a huge part of the workforce on these sites. It gives you the full picture. Okay, so that's safety. Let's look at an environmental example. When you pull oil and gas out of the ground, a lot of water comes up with it. It's called produced water, and it's basically this super salty brine. Figuring out what to do with all of it, how to treat it or dispose of it, is a massive challenge. So what does the standard do? It cuts through the fluff and asks two simple, direct questions. First, what's the total volume of water you're dealing with? And second, what percentage of that are you recycling? It's all about getting to the hard numbers, not just vague promises. So when you take all these specific data points and apply them across the board, you can start to see what this is all about. This is the future of accountability. It's about how data is literally changing the energy industry. And this comparison here really spells it out, doesn't it? The old way was all about vague reports and inconsistent disclosures. It was almost impossible to compare one company to another. The new standard is all about specific, comparable data. We finally get clear benchmarks, so we can see who's leading and who's lagging. It's a whole new era of transparency. And really, that's the bottom line. This isn't just about filling out forms or compliance. This is about competition. It's about reputation. It's about a company's future social license to operate. It changes the whole game. So that leaves us with one big question to think about. For an industry that has, for so long, operated behind the curtain, we now have these clear standards. So, with this new level of transparency, will the hidden risks of the oil and gas industry finally, truly come to light?